Hello, Professor Rad here, and today we're going to talk about multiplication. Let's begin by visualizing what it means to multiply. So here I have 4 times 3. This means that we need to look at 4 groups, and each group is going to contain 3 objects. So I'm going to start out by drawing 4 boxes to represent my 4 groups. And in each of those boxes, I'm going to put 3 objects. So I'm just going to use X's for this. So we have 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this is what 4 times 3 looks like. You've got 4 groups, and each group has 3 objects inside of it. So to find the result, we're going to add all those little X's up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. You can also think of this as addition. We took 3 objects from that first group, and we added the 3 objects in the next group, and we added the 3 objects in the next group, and then we added the 3 objects in the last group. And when we did that, we got 12. So multiplication is the same thing as repeated addition. We added 4 copies, 1, 2, 3, 4, of the number 3. So multiplication is repeating addition, and we call the result of multiplication the product. One way to summarize a lot of the common products is to use what's called a multiplication table. And if I wanted to use this table to find products, I could look at the first number along the side and the second number along the top and see where they meet up. So for example, if I wanted to find 4 times 3 using the multiplication table, I would start here at 4, and I want to go over to the column that has 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. For example, if I wanted to find, let's say, 7 times 8, I would go down to the row that has 7 and along to the column that has an 8. And 7 times 8 is 56. And you can do this to find, on this table, any of the products that go up to 9. Now, generally, this is the multiplication table that I recommend that we have memorized. It's okay if you don't memorize it. If you have difficulty memorizing things, you can get away with, drawing things out and adding them up. But it will make things a little bit easier for division if you can memorize the multiplication table or even the lists of products. So here's how I remember some of these. So for the ones, anything times 1 is itself. So notice how 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and so on. So the ones are easy. Anything times 1 is itself. Times 2 means you take a number and add it to itself. So if I wanted to find 6 times 2, I could think of that, well, what is 6 plus 6? And so that's an addition that's pretty easy. I could do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 6 times 2 is 12. The 5s are pretty nice as well, because if I look at 5 times things, it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45. So the 5s are usually some that are not too bad either. The 9s have a little trick that you can use your hands for. So for the 9s, if I wanted to find 9 times, let's say 4, I could count starting from the left down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you put that finger down. Oh no, I just hit my camera. Sorry for the wobbles. So 9 times 4 is going to be 36. So that's the trick for 9s. If I wanted to do, let's say, 9 times 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, put that one down, I get 54. So that's the trick for 9s. So you can see here, 9 times 4, we got 36, and 9 times 6, we got 54. But what if I wanted to do like 9 times 25? Let's see what that might look like. So here in example 11, it says to create a multiplication table through multiplication by 9 for 25. So we're going to be creating a multiplication table for 25. So we're going to start out by listing out the products. 25 times 1, 25 times 2, 25 times 3. And we're going to keep listing these out until we get to 9. Okay, since we're going through 9. So we'll have 25 times 4, 25 times 5. I'll carry over in another column here. 25 times 6, 7, 8, and then we end at 9. So to create this multiplication table, what we're going to do is we're going to use repeated addition. Remember that anything times 1 is itself. So I'm going to write 25 times 1 is 25. Then to get 25 times 2, I'm going to add 25 to that. So 5 plus 5 is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 25 times 2 is 50. Then we'll add 25 to that to get 25 times 3. That'll give us 75. And we're going to keep doing that, adding the 25s, until we get to the end of our list. Oops. Oh my word. Plus 25. There we go. That's why we have erasers, right? So let's add a 25 down here. 150. All right, cool. So this is going to be a technique that if you have trouble with multiplication tables, we can use this kind of technique to help us when we go to do division later on. So if you have trouble with memorization, this process is a good process to know and to remember. Now, the only thing we haven't talked about too much so far is multiplying when 0 is involved. So when 0 is involved, the product of any number times 0 is always going to be 0. So if you have 15 times 0, it's 0. If you have 2,768,000 times 0, it's 0. So if all you're multiplying by is 0, your answer is going to be 0. But there's another thing that's pretty cool. If you multiply whole numbers and there's like a string of zeros at the end, like we have here, you can just multiply the first numbers before the zeros and then add that many zeros onto the end. So for example, up here, we made our multiplication table for 25s. And down here, I have 25 times 70,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of 25 times 7. So up here, 25 times 7 gave us 175. So I'm going to start out with a 175. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros at the end. So we can just put 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros at the end. So 25 times 70,000 is going to give us 1,750,000. That's what the second note here is saying, basically. So for example, if I want to multiply 6,000 times 200, I'm going to start off with 6 times 2. So 6 times 2 is the same as 6 plus 6, which is 12. So 6 times 2 is 12. And then I put 1, 2, 3 zeros from the 6,000 and 1, 2 zeros from the 200. and I get 1,200,000. So if your number ends in a big bunch of zeros, then this is a technique that you can use to help you find the products. So here we have a few Now You Try exercises. So you can create a multiplication table through 9 for 17, and then create a multiplication table for 70 going through 12, and then a few examples that involve the zeros. In the next video, we're going to look at a technique for multiplying larger numbers that don't involve a bunch of zeros. And the technique we're going to look at is called the box method. So I hope this video gave you a good introduction to multiplying, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.